Hi, this is Alicia Lamb doing the case study for module number 8. When we read through the case study, we found that um, Carl is a third grade boy in a general education classroom. He had an IEP for a behavior disorder, and that after his parents went through a nasty divorce, his behaviors escalated. We also know that his brother and sister, who are in the junior high, are receiving emotional support that Carl is not receiving due to the lack of resources that are provided in his elementary school. His general education teacher is wanting him pulled out of the classroom more due to his behavior, and she is wanting him penalized. Um, set separately than all the other kids. I know she's looking out for the rest of her class, but her suggestions for Carl are a little inappropriate at this time. Um, what do I know? I know that his behavior has increased. I know he has been diagnosed with a behavior disorder. I also know that he has a behavior plan in place for a rewards consequence system that's not working as well as it had been in the past, and that Susan is a first year teacher with no guidance under her belt. Um, we don't know what his triggers are. We don't. Something I do with most of my SPED students is do a forced choice survey to see what excuse me, their interests are, what some rewards we could go by, because not all kids like tangible items. Some kids just want praise, some kids want peer acceptance, so it's important to find out what motivates them. Um, who is meeting his emotional needs? Is there anybody in the building that we could use? What support staff are there on a regular basis? What's the schedule like? And who is available other than the assistant superintendent? Are there any principals on board, assistant principals? Is there a counselor that acts as a principal? We really need to have somebody else there supporting the special education teacher, so this school isn't just left onto their left on their own. The problem is a new plan of action needs to be created, something in place where Carl can feel successful in the general education room and in a resource setting. The proposed plan of action, I had that he will need to receive self-regulation techniques from a qualified staff member. This can't be somebody that uh, has an idea but has a background in emotional concerns and that has done a little bit of research on self-regulation and the appropriate strategies needed for kids with behavioral concerns, how they can decrease their anger, what allowing kids to identify what their frustrations are and how they can um, self-regulate their frustration. When Carl's becoming physically aggressive in the classroom, what are the techniques for getting him removed without causing bigger concerns? What and those strategies need to be consistent across the board so he knows what to expect, the kids in his classroom know what to expect, and staff members know what to expect. I would also suggest continuing a data sheet for him that he can visually see how he's doing each hour of the day. Maybe that might help him see what areas of his day that he's having frustrations with. Okay. Resolving the issues. It sounds to me like he might be rebelling against authority figures just because his parents are going through a nasty divorce, that he's trying to find some control of his own. Um, we aren't sure because they weren't able to find an antecedent. If it's control, escape, or attention, I would go with control. just because home life is so imbalanced. Um, removing Carl from a gen ed setting quickly with a preset plan will allow people to continue their work without too much of a distraction. Distraction is inevitable. You know, the behavior can't always be stopped, but sometimes we can stop it before it gets too big. If we see how he's beginning to escalate, what are the warning signs of him needing a break? Um, the ultimate goal is for him to continue in the general education classroom, but needing to self-advocate and remove himself if he's starting to feel aggressive or starting to get frustrated, ask for a cool down, and then reintegrate himself into the classroom. Um, Part of our problem. Okay, sorry for the crying baby. Um, but to brief the problem, the first year teacher doesn't have anybody to help guide her through the special education process in such a large school district, which can be very challenging because working as a first year teacher and then working in a co-op, I don't think that her not having somebody to help guide her through these processes, and especially working with tenured teachers, makes it very difficult as a first year teacher to come in and start changing the way things were done in the past. Teachers will push against that, and it makes a very difficult work environment. So also not having on-site professionals to help her with those types of issues makes it difficult for her to do her job. It makes it difficult for her to build relationships with the general education teachers, which then makes it hard to collaborate with the team to build a good, solid approach for addressing parents. And parents need to feel like they have a good support staff at school educating their child. Otherwise, they're not always going to get on board. They become very frustrated. So I think having um, on-site staff, mentors, more resources available, being able to provide resources for the family, and making sure everybody's on the same page going into a meeting makes parents feel better. It also makes the teachers look more professional, and when they look professional and they are working together as a team, then the student is the one that seeks the benefits of um, all of all of that. Um, Working together is a huge part of a special education team, like being sure that teachers understand that just pulling kids out of a classroom because their behavior isn't the only solution to a problem, but that there's more solutions and several people have to play their part for there to be any success at all. Um, Many situations are going to arise. They are not all the same. Not every approach is going to be the exact same for every single student. That's the part of special education that makes it so special, is that students learn at their own rate, and what works for one may not work for the other. And once teachers have an understanding of that, and support staff and administrators know what to look for, then we can start addressing certain concerns and building a much better approach to meeting students' needs. Um, the first component, promote the academic success of every student by enhancing instructional capacity. Sorry. Um, Providing support for the general education classroom once the antecedent has been identified. And when I mean antecedent, like what's causing the behavior, it said that Susan didn't know what it was. Students often don't get just triggered by nothing. There's something, whether the work is too hard, they're not getting the attention they need, they're being asked to do something they're not comfortable with. They're trying to gain control of a situation. There's so many different things, and you really have to pinpoint what the antecedent is to figure out how to help the kid. Um, create an intervention plan for the removal, but also not just a removal. I mean, I'll discuss it on another slide. Um, and provide instruction for educators to inform themselves about emotional supports. SPED teachers cannot be the only people that know staff. There are plenty of trainings and resources out there to educate the entire staff on the best practices for students that are struggling with emotional concerns. Um, for promote the personal well-being of every student by enhancing instructional capacity, the behavior plan that can be easily followed, one that doesn't have too many um, steps, because then it gets convoluted and things get lost in translation. Teach students how to react to Carl. So when he has a major behavior, show them that overreacting or ignoring the behavior is a best practice instead of giving him the attention, because if he is seeking attention, then he's going to do it more. If he's seeking control, if other students ignore that behavior, then he might pick up that this isn't okay. Um, Also show students if they are asked to leave a classroom because the behavior is so concerned, where do we go? What do we say? What do we need to do that makes them still feel comfortable and can um, make Carl feel a little less threatened in the environment that he's in, and develop a secure team, because the sped teacher may not always be there to help. Like, who, if she's not there, who else is going to step in place? What other administrator or support staff is going to come help this person out? Again, enhance instructional capacity. We look at the mentor program. Add permanent administrative positions to each building. Look for a counselor or a social worker to help in every building and not somebody that just bounces around. Do book studies, professional development, talk about people that have been in this field before, and then hold staff meetings on proper contact with parents. Like, we do not text, we do not say negatives without positives. We have um, emails every so many weeks. Like, make sure that we're staying positive and not always looking at the negative, because that's going to tear a student down. It tears families down, and it doesn't build a good, solid program in the building. It makes it a big struggle, and it doesn't make parents feel welcomed, and it doesn't make staff or students feel welcomed either. So, again, sorry for the crying baby. We've had quite the day. Sorry for the yawning. I'm not completely bored with this assignment. I'm just exhausted having a newborn and two kids. Um, Sorry, and I know I talked fast, but I always talk longer than the extra 15 minutes. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it informative, and good luck to all of you on your assignments. Thank you.